So today I'm going to talk with you a little bit about setting up a Highline, and there are plenty of videos out there with other people showing you how to set up a Highline. I've learned some great techniques from them. I'm going to show you the way I do it. The caveat here is that I typically don't have any more than 2 animals on my Highline. So usually my trips are kind of lighter weight backpacking trips. I have a pack and I'm taking the animals in to just carry some extra food and items like that for our family. So we're fairly small scale. But even with that, I like to set up a decently large Highline because I like to be able to move my animals a little bit. And if you watch this, you'll end up learning a couple of knots, about 5 knots. They're all pretty simple, but I think they make it really nice to tie up your Highline and then be able to get all those knots undone, most importantly, and have some adjustability as well in where you move the animals. So I'll show you my gear real quick. So this is my Highline kit, and I got my coil of rope there. I've got 2 tree saver straps, and so those, if you're not familiar, they're kind of like seatbelt material. They go around a tree and they help just make sure that you're not cutting into the tree with rope. And then I have 1 swivel that is made to go on a Highline. It's really nice. It locks in on the line. The disadvantage of that is it's really hard to move. You can't move it once it's under tension. And then I have this bull snap with a swivel that I use on some inline knots that I'll show you on the line, and that's what I really use to change the position of my stock. And then I like to have 3 carabiners. So you don't need all those carabiners. You really don't need any carabiners, but I feel like those carabiners are really an advantage in hooking your Highline system up quickly and being able to get it under the greatest amount of tension. So it doesn't have to be that kind of carabiner. It can certainly be a climbing carabiner. Just the most essential part of any of this gear is that obviously it has to be able to stand up to the amount of weight that's going to be put on it, or the load that's going to be put on it if, say, your animals spook and they bolt a little bit and test your Highline. So definitely doesn't have to be climbing rope. Certainly the logging industry has awesome rope. This rope just came to me. It was decommissioned static rope from a ropes recovery team, so it came to me at a really great price. So here it is. I will say that I like to have quite a bit of length with my Highline. Again, even for a couple animals, it's really an advantage because it gives you the option to move them. But also you end up in certain places in the mountains here in Idaho, especially where canyons are deep, you don't have a lot of flat ground, and you're trying to solve that problem where you're giving your animals some flat ground as well as getting between a couple of sturdy live trees. And that sometimes can be a Venn diagram that's hard to find the overlap between flat ground and a distance you can span between trees. So here we go. I'm going to start setting up. I like to get these about 7 or 8 feet high on the tree. I'm obviously not that tall, so a lot of times I'll look for something to kind of prop myself up on, or I'll do a little bit of trial and error trying to get over branches that I can use to my advantage. So this is a situation where I have the strap where I want it, but it's going to take a little adjustment. Once I start to put it under tension, I'll kind of scooch it up. Don't be afraid to use a stick that you find to help prop things. I usually do both tree saver straps first, and then I worry about my line. So this stiffer rope is a disadvantage at times. It's harder to work with tying your knots, but it can be a bit of an advantage in that you have less kind of snags when you're setting up your high line. So I kind of like it when I'm in a bit of a hurry. So the first knot we're gonna do is just a figure 8 loop. Climbers know this. I think the, you know, basically take a bite like that, and then you do your figure 8 through like that. So you can do the knot in this manner if you have a carabiner to easily hook this to the ring on your tree saver strap. But if you don't have a carabiner to hook a ring on your tree saver strap, then you're gonna have to do your figure 8 a different way. And you know, climbers will always put the safety knot in there, not a bad practice. I'll show you that other way that you can tie it directly on to the tree saver strap if you have to. And if you can't remember how to do the loop with the figure 8, you can just tie a figure 8. So you make your figure 8 like that. You have it there, full figure 8, and then you can make your loop and you go in and you just trace, maintaining your loop. You go in and trace your other rope.
Holy crap.
Just like that. So that's the manner in which you can make a figure 8 if you don't know how to do it the other way. But again, easiest, take a bite, do your figure 8. Kind of dress it up, pull it tight. You can do a safety knot, just one loop around there, make your end nice and tidy as well. And then this, if you have a carabiner, you can take carabiner around there. And then I go to the ring on my tree saver strap. I'm gonna get my tree saver strap moved around a little bit so it's over here more directly in line with the tree. You can't see it, but I'm kind of sideways right now. So I'm gonna get a prop stick to do that with. Maybe not. The best you can. It's great to try to get any twists out. Try to get the tree saver strap very horizontal, so adjusting on the back side of the tree the best you can, just so you eliminate possibility to have lots of play in it. So, okay, got my figure 8. I've got the carabiner on there. Goes to my tree saver strap. Now, when I'm doing this in a camp, I like to put this all on a belt loop through one of the carabiners. That way it just keeps it nice and handy. And now I'm gonna take my rope. We're gonna walk it over to the other tree. All right, and as you can see, I have plenty of coils of rope left over, which is awesome. So next, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start putting in knots inline. So I'm gonna do an alpine butterfly. And the way that you do that knot is you wrap around your hand. So I have coming up out of my hand 3 wraps like that. And I'm gonna take this middle one here, I'm gonna go under, and then I'm gonna go over. So I picked the middle one, I went under, I go over, and I pull it through. I'm gonna dress it up, and it'll look a little more impressive once I dress it up. You're gonna end up with that knot right there. And again, this is incredibly stiff rope, so you don't need this stiffer rope, and it has its disadvantages sometimes when tying knots like this. So I'm gonna go along. This one's pretty close to my tree, and I may have a different purpose for this one that we're gonna see here shortly. I'm gonna go along and do some more alpine butterflies, and they're gonna be the spots where I use the bowl snap. So show you again, I got 3 across my hand. It's coming up and away from me here. It's coming down here. I'm gonna reach underneath and grab the middle one, pull it forward. Then I'm gonna go over the other 2 and then pull them through and under. I can give myself enough slack, but we'll get there. These knots aren't gonna slip on you. They're not gonna, make your rope less tense. So as long as you get them tied and dress them up a little bit, it doesn't matter if they're a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. Really, you're gonna be able to use these to put your bowl snap on and have an attachment wherever you want on this line. Another alpine butterfly, pick the middle. This time I'm gonna give myself more slack, pick the middle, go over both, come up under, and then pull it through, tighten on the sides, and we'll get it dressed up. Okay, so next I have, as I showed originally, one of these swivels that's specifically made right here for a Highline. And I'm gonna use this swivel. The way it goes in is it locks in this manner. So you take a bite of your rope, you take your swivel, it goes up and over, and then you just pull the ring part through. So it should look like this, and then your opposite side like that. So you'll see that under tension, this thing is not gonna slide on the rope. And that is the disadvantage of these. They're really awesome. Love the swivel function, love the large ring. I always take this and use it. I usually put it wherever I plan to, tie up an animal the most, but you simply can't move it down the line unless you have some slack in your line. So put that there, and then I'm gonna do one more alpine butterfly, and then we will get to tensioning this. So there you go. So now we've done alpine butterfly, We did our figure 8 loop there. We're gonna go do a trucker hitch, and we're gonna use our last alpine butterfly to do that down on this other end. So now we're gonna hang it up with other tree saver strap, and then from there we're gonna tension it around a tree, and we are going to half hitch it a bunch of times to secure it. So this was the last of my alpine butterflies here, and I'd say it's maybe 10 feet from where my tree is. I'm going to use one of my carabiners on this. I'll just put it there now. And then I'm gonna come over to my tree saver strap, and I'm gonna place the other carabiner. It's nice to have the carabiner here because I don't have to take the entirety of my rope through this ring. Also, the real reason for the carabiners here is to cut down on the friction when I do this trucker hitch. So I have the line coming from my opposite tree. It's coming right now all the way through to this carabiner on the tree saver strap. And now I'm gonna take the free end of my line back to the first alpine butterfly and carabiner, and I've got myself a trucker hitch. So now, I'm not a big guy, so this is where I'm gonna get a little creative on this tree because it's got some limbs, so you'll get to see me bend under this in a minute. But I'm gonna get back and start working on this. And if you have 2 people with you, this is the time I like to get it really tight. And so it's not a bad thing to have another person on the rope with you to help get tension in this strap. I think another thing that you can do is, especially if you have 2 people and you can get a lot of tension on it at once, but you don't want to hold it, is you can do an extra wrap in this carabiner. It adds friction. So it both works against you in getting it tight, but it also works for you in being able to hold the tension you get. But right now it's just one of me, and that's quite a bit of tension. So we're just gonna do a regular, through there once. I'm gonna get it as tight as I can. I do this with the pull hard and sit down method. Maybe that's what it should be called, the squat sit down method. And then now I'm getting it close to as tight as I can. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that extra little bit of oomph on it, and I'm gonna go around this tree 5 times with my rope. Pick a tree that doesn't have all the branches, if you can. So I went around and then like throw over the top of my rope there, and then 5 wraps. It's the Velcro tree. This is where Velcro comes from, right here. After I get my 5 loops around the tree, they're together. That's gonna spread this out on the tree, and I'm not worried that it's gonna cut through it. Then I do at least 3 half hitches here, and that's gonna be my security. I like doing the half hitches because if you do find that you want to move this end of your Highline, or you want to, if it looks like it got loose and you want to tension it, then you can go do that. So last one, you do through with the loop, and if you want to be extra secure, You can tie a hooey around that too. So there you go. There is our Highline, and I'm gonna put some animals on it. Scotty likes to untie knots, so he gets a sampan knot with an extra bite over it. So I've got some critiques on this Highline. So one of my critiques on this Highline is it's just too short, especially over here. So I should have made that the tree that I tensioned off of, because it doesn't have branches around the bottom, and I could have done my wraps higher. This tree that I did the tensioning off of, I had that big branch that kind of prevented me from wrapping a little bit higher when I tensioned it, and it brought the overall height of my line down. So I would actually, if I were staying here camping for quite a few days, or even just staying here at all to camp, I would end up tensioning off of my higher tree. So it may not be obvious, but I reversed where my anchor tree was and the tree that I was tensioning off of, and it gave me quite a bit of additional height, and that was simply due to the fact that that tree down there doesn't have limbs on the bottom, or didn't have a significant amount, and I could actually tension with my trucker hitch and then get higher wraps around the tree. So there you go. All right, we're about to take it down here, but you can see our Highline. And I have both animals here. They've been rolling. They've been, all sorts of animal antics, but we have them about right. They, neither of them have stepped over their rope yet. So we tried to get it short enough where they can't step over the rope, but long enough that they can eat something off the ground and they can lay down and roll around, which, as you can tell, they've been typical mule and donkeys, have kicked out and rolled a whole bunch. All right, that's a wrap on our highlining. Love to hear about how everyone else sets up their highlines.